The smoke was thick enough to choke on. Taman kept his head down as another explosion shook the ground beneath his boots. Chunks of concrete and twisted metal littered what used to be streets. Now it was just a graveyard of buildings half collapsed and burning. "Move, move!" Sergeant Minho's voice cut through the noise. The squad ran through the ruins, their weapons ready. Taman clutched his medical kit tight against his chest. His job wasn't to shoot. His job was to keep people alive. That was getting harder every day. The war had been going on for 3 years now. Humans had joined the Galactic Coalition, thinking they were signing up to protect innocent worlds. What they got was a meat grinder. The Vryn Empire didn't negotiate. They didn't take prisoners. They just killed and moved on. Taman had seen what they did to Coalition soldiers. He'd seen what they did to civilians, so when Sergeant Minho said the Vryn were monsters, Taman didn't argue. He'd learned to hate them like everyone else. "Contact left," someone shouted. Energy bolts lit up the street in bright blue streaks. Taman dove behind a broken wall. His heart hammered in his chest. He wasn't a fighter. He was a medic. But out here, everyone had to know how to survive. The firefight lasted maybe 2 minutes. It felt like hours. When it finally stopped, Sergeant Minho was on the radio calling for extraction. "We're falling back to the rally point. Too many hostiles in this sector." The squad started moving again, faster this time. They needed to reach the extraction zone before the Vryn sent reinforcements. Taman brought up the rear, checking behind them every few seconds. That's when he saw it. Movement in the rubble. At first he thought it was a Vryn soldier waiting to ambush them. His hand went to his sidearm, but then he saw the hand reaching out from under a collapsed wall. It was shaking, weak. Taman stopped walking. The squad kept going. They hadn't noticed. He should have kept moving. That's what training said. That's what common sense said. But his feet wouldn't move. He was a medic. He was supposed to save lives. Even enemy lives. Taman looked ahead at his squad. They were almost around the corner. In a few seconds, they'd be out of sight. He looked back at the hand. It had stopped moving. He cursed under his breath and ran toward the rubble. Up close, he could see her clearly now. A Vryn female, half buried under concrete and metal beams. Her skin was blue-gray, covered in burns and cuts. One of her 4 arms bent at an angle that made Taman's stomach turn. Her breathing was shallow, quick. She was dying. Her eyes opened. They were large and dark, nothing like human eyes. When she saw him, she tried to pull away. Fear filled her face. She thought he was going to kill her. Maybe he should. "Park!" Sergeant Minho's voice made him jump. The sergeant had come back, his rifle pointed at the Vryn woman. "What are you doing?" "Get away from that thing." "She's hurt," Taman said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. "She's Vryn," Minho said, like that explained everything. "Leave her." "That's an order." Taman looked at the woman again. She'd stopped trying to pull away. She just stared at him now with those big dark eyes, waiting to die, expecting it. "I can't," Taman said. "What?" "I can't leave her." Taman opened his medical kit. His hands were shaking. "She'll die if I don't help." "Good." Minho's voice was cold. "That's one less enemy we have to worry about. Now move your ass, Park. We need to go." "Go without me." Taman started clearing rubble from around the Vryn woman. "I'll catch up." Minho grabbed his shoulder, spinning him around. The sergeant's face was red with anger. "Are you insane? She's the enemy. Her people are killing us." "She's not killing anyone right now," Taman said. He pulled free from Minho's grip. "She's just dying. And I'm a medic. You're a soldier first." "No." Taman met his sergeant's eyes. "I'm a medic first. That's why I signed up. To save lives." For a long moment, Minho just stared at him. Then he shook his head. "You're making a mistake, Park, a big one." "Probably," Taman agreed. Minho looked at the Vryn woman, then back at Taman. His jaw clenched. 5 minutes. That's all you get. If you're not at the extraction point in 5 minutes, we're leaving without you." "Understood." Minho ran back toward the squad. Taman could hear him shouting orders. The others would think he was crazy. They'd be right. Taman turned his attention back to the Vryn woman. She was watching him with confusion now instead of fear. She said something in her own language. It sounded like a question. "I don't understand," Taman said softly. "But I'm going to help you, okay?" She probably didn't understand him either. But he kept talking anyway. It seemed to calm her down. He worked quickly, checking her injuries. The broken arm was bad, but not life-threatening. The burns were worse, and she had internal bleeding. He could tell from the way she breathed, the color of her skin. He didn't have time for proper treatment. He just needed to stabilize her enough to move. Taman injected her with a broad-spectrum painkiller. He hoped Vryn biology was close enough to human that it would work. Then he splinted her broken arm and wrapped the worst of her burns. Every second counted. Explosions echoed in the distance. The Vryn were getting closer. "Come on," Taman said. He started pulling her free from the rubble. She cried out in pain, but he didn't stop. "I know it hurts. I'm sorry, but we have to move." Finally, she was free. Taman got her arm around his shoulders and lifted. She was lighter than he expected. Or maybe adrenaline just made him stronger. Either way, he started moving. The Vryn woman's legs barely worked. She stumbled with every step. Taman half-carried, half-dragged her through the ruins. His medical kit banged against his back. Sweat ran down his face. More explosions. Closer this time. "Almost there," Taman said, though he had no idea if that was true. "Just keep moving." The woman said something. Her voice was weak. She was looking at him with those strange eyes again. Still confused. Still afraid. But also something else. Grateful, maybe. The extraction point came into view. A cleared area where dropships could land. Taman could see his squad already there, waiting. When they saw him coming with the Vryn woman, several of them raised their weapons. "Hold fire!" That was Lieutenant Hana's voice. She stepped forward, her expression hard to read. "What is this, Corporal Park?" "Injured civilian, ma'am," Taman said, even though he knew the Vryn woman was military, requesting permission to bring her aboard for medical treatment. Hana looked at the Vryn woman, then at Taman. Several long seconds passed. Finally, she shook her head. "This is going to cause problems, Park. You know that, right?" "Yes, ma'am. Get her on the ship. She's your responsibility. If anything goes wrong, it's on you." "Understood, ma'am." The dropship arrived with a roar of engines. As Taman helped the Vryn woman aboard, he could feel every eye on him. Some looked angry. Some looked disgusted. None looked approving. He'd just saved an enemy soldier's life. He'd defied orders to do it, and he had no idea if he'd made the right choice. But as the dropship lifted off and the Vryn woman's hand weakly gripped his arm, Taman thought maybe it didn't matter if it was right. It was human, and in a war full of monsters, maybe that was enough. The dropship shook as it climbed away from the burning city. Taman kept pressure on the Vryn woman's worst wound, a deep burn across her side. She was conscious but fading fast. Her breathing had gotten worse. "Stay with me," Taman said, though he knew she couldn't understand. Just a little longer. The other soldiers kept their distance. They sat along the walls of the dropship, staring at him and his patient with hard eyes. Nobody said anything, but Taman could feel their anger. He'd brought the enemy onto their transport. He'd risked their lives for one of them. Sergeant Minho sat across from him, arms crossed. His face was stone. "You better hope she doesn't try anything, Park. She can barely breathe," Taman said. "She's not going to try anything. They always try something." The Vryn woman's eyes moved between them. Even through her pain, Taman could see her watching, trying to understand. She knew they were talking about her. Her good hand moved to something around her neck. A small pendant on a chain. She held it tight. Taman had seen that gesture before. Soldiers holding on to pieces of home when they thought they were dying. It was the same across species, apparently. "Medical supplies running low, Corporal?" asked Private Soman, one of the squad's riflemen. His voice had an edge to it. "You using all our medicine on her?" "I'm using what I need to keep her alive," Taman replied. "That's the problem," Soman muttered. Lieutenant Hana moved down the dropship toward them. She crouched next to Taman, studying the Vryn woman with a careful eye. "How bad is she?" "Bad," Taman admitted. "Internal bleeding, multiple burns, broken bones. She needs a real medical facility. I've done what I can, but it's not enough. Will she make it to base?" "Maybe, if we're fast," Hana nodded slowly. She looked at Taman for a long moment. "You know this is going to follow you, right? The other units will hear about this. Command will ask questions." "I know, ma'am. Why'd you do it?" Taman didn't have a good answer. Or maybe he had too many answers and none of them made sense when he said them out loud. She needed help. "Lots of people need help," Hana said. "We can't save them all." "I could save her," Hana sighed. "That's not how war works, Park. You save your own." You kill theirs. That's the deal. That's not how being a medic works, Taman said quietly. Before Hana could respond, the dropship lurched. Warning lights flashed red. The pilot's voice came over the intercom. Hostile contact! Brace for evasive maneuvers. The ship dove hard to the left. Taman grabbed onto a support handle, his other hand still pressed against the Vryn woman's wound. She cried out in her language as the movement jarred her injuries. Energy bolts streaked past the windows. Vryn fighters. They'd been followed. Return fire, Hana shouted into her radio. The dropship's guns opened up with a steady thrum that Taman felt in his chest. The whole ship shuddered with each shot. More evasive maneuvers. The Vryn woman slipped sideways. Taman caught her with his free arm, pulling her against him to keep her steady. She was shaking now, either from pain or fear. Maybe both. It's okay, Taman said, knowing it wasn't. We'll get through this. The dogfight seemed to last forever. In reality, it was probably less than a minute. Coalition support fighters arrived, driving off the Vryn attack. The dropship leveled out, heading toward base at full speed. Taman checked his patient again. The rough flight hadn't helped. She was bleeding more now. Her skin had taken on a pale gray color that he guessed wasn't normal. Hang on, he told her. Please hang on. Her eyes focused on his face. She said something in her language. Her voice was barely a whisper. I don't understand, Taman said. I'm sorry. She lifted her good hand and pointed at him. Then she touched her own chest. She repeated the gesture. Him, then her. A question, maybe. Or a statement. Why are you helping me? Taman put his hand over hers. Because it's the right thing to do. She wouldn't understand the words. But maybe she'd understand the gesture. The dropship touched down at the Coalition forward base 15 minutes later. Medical teams were already waiting. Taman had radioed ahead with the situation. The response had been cold. One trauma team standing by for the human wounded. Prisoner will be taken to the detention medical bay. As the ramp lowered, the medical team rushed forward. But when they saw the Vryn woman, they hesitated. She needs immediate treatment, Taman said. Internal bleeding, burns, multiple fractures. We heard, said one of the medics, a woman named Yuna. She was the base's chief medical officer. Bring her. The rest of you come with me. The squad filed off toward debriefing. Sergeant Minho gave Taman one last look. You're on your own now, Park. Taman helped carry the Vryn woman into the medical bay. It was different from the main hospital. Smaller, more secure, with guards at every door. Inside, Yuna took charge immediately. She was all business, directing her team with quick, precise orders. They got the Vryn woman onto a table and began hooking up monitoring equipment. Her biology is different, Taman said. I don't know if standard readings will... I know, Yuna interrupted. I've treated Vryn before. Prisoners from other battles. Did they survive? Yuna didn't answer right away. She was inserting an IV line into one of the Vryn woman's arms. The one that wasn't broken. Some did. Some didn't. We're not miracle workers, Corporal. For the next hour, Taman watched as Yuna and her team worked. They were good. Professional. They treated the Vryn woman like any other patient, not like an enemy. It gave Taman hope. But then Commander Jiwan arrived. The intelligence officer was tall and thin, with eyes that missed nothing. She looked at the Vryn woman on the table, then at Taman. You're the one who brought her in. Yes, ma'am, against orders. The orders were to leave her to die, ma'am. I couldn't do that. Jiwan's expression didn't change. Couldn't or wouldn't? Does it matter? Yes, Corporal. It matters very much. Jiwan stepped closer to the table. This woman is Vryn military. See the markings on her uniform? She's a scout. Probably gathering intelligence when she got caught in the bombardment. She was dying, Taman said. And now she's a prisoner of war. My prisoner. Jiwan looked at Yuna. How long until I can interrogate her? At least 2 days, Yuna said firmly. Maybe more. She needs surgery. She needs rest. Push her too hard and you'll kill her. That would be unfortunate, Jiwan said, though her tone suggested she didn't care much either way. She turned back to Taman. You'll be assigned as her primary guard. Since you care so much about her welfare, I'm a medic, not a guard. You're a soldier in the coalition military and you'll follow orders. Jiwan's voice had gone cold. Or would you like to face disciplinary action for your earlier disobedience? Taman clenched his jaw. No, ma'am. Good. Report here at 600. Don't make me regret allowing her to live, Corporal. Jiwon left. The medical bay seemed quieter without her presence, but no less tense. Yuna glanced at Taemin. You really stepped in at this time. I know. Why'd you do it? Really? Taemin looked at the Vryn woman. She was unconscious now, sedated for the surgery ahead. She looked small on the table. Vulnerable. Not like the monsters everyone said the Vryn were. I saw someone who needed help, Taemin said. That's all. Yuna smiled slightly. That's enough of a reason, I suppose. She gestured toward the door. Go get some rest. You look like hell. I'll make sure she pulls through the surgery. Promise? I'm a Dr. Park. I don't make promises I can't keep. But I'll try. That's all any of us can do. Taemin nodded. He took one last look at the Vryn woman, then left the medical bay. Outside, the base was busy with evening activity. Soldiers moved between buildings, vehicles rumbled past, and somewhere nearby a squad was doing physical training. Everything normal, but Taemin didn't feel normal. He felt like he'd just crossed a line he couldn't uncross. He'd saved an enemy. He'd defied orders. He'd made himself a target, and somehow he didn't regret it, not yet anyway. The surgery took 6 hours. Taemin wasn't there for it. He'd been ordered to his quarters to rest, though sleep didn't come easily. He kept seeing that hand reaching out from the rubble, kept hearing the Vryn woman's cry of pain when the dropship had lurched. At 0600 the next morning, he reported to the medical bay. 2 guards stood outside, armed and alert. They gave him suspicious looks as he approached. Corporal Park, reporting for guard duty. One of them, a corporal named Junho, shook his head. You're the one who brought the Vryn in. People are talking about you. Let them talk. They're saying you're a traitor, that you care more about the enemy than your own people. Taemin met his eyes. They can say whatever they want. Junho studied him for a moment, then stepped aside. She's inside. Doctor's orders say you can go in, but we stay out here. Don't do anything stupid. Taemin entered the medical bay. It was quiet this early in the morning. Most of the staff wouldn't arrive for another hour. Only one bed was occupied. The Vryn woman was awake. She saw him and immediately tensed. Her good hand gripped the edge of the bed. Her eyes tracked his movements as he approached. Still afraid? Still waiting for violence? It's okay, Taemin said softly. He held up his hands, showing he was unarmed. I'm not going to hurt you. She didn't relax. But she didn't try to run either. Not that she could. Her broken arm was in a proper cast now, and bandages covered most of her body. She looked better than yesterday, but still weak. Taemin pulled up a chair and sat down, not too close, giving her space. I'm Taemin, he said, pointing to himself. Taemin. She stared at him. He tried again, tapping his chest. Taemin. This time something seemed to click. She understood he was telling her his name. Slowly, carefully, she lifted her good hand and touched her own chest. Lyra. Lyra, Taemin repeated. He smiled. It's good to meet you, Lyra. She didn't smile back, but some of the fear left her eyes. Over the next few days, a routine developed. Taemin would arrive each morning and sit with Lyra. At first, she barely acknowledged him. She'd watch him with those large dark eyes, always wary. But gradually she began to relax. Communication was difficult. Neither spoke the other's language. But Taemin was patient. He brought paper and pencils. He'd draw simple pictures. A sun, a tree, a person. He'd point to the drawing and say the word. Lyra would listen, sometimes repeating the sounds. Her voice was different from human voices, more musical somehow, but she could make the sounds, and she taught him too. She'd point to something and say the Vryn word, then she'd wait for him to repeat it. When he got it wrong, she'd shake her head and say it again. When he got it right, she'd nod once. It wasn't much, but it was something. Dr. Yuna would check on Lyra twice a day. She seemed pleased with her recovery. She's strong, Yuna told Taemin one afternoon. Stronger than I expected. Her people must have impressive medical technology. These burns should have killed her, but her body is healing faster than baseline human normal. That's good, Taemin said. Commander G1 wants to begin interrogations tomorrow. She's been patient, but her patience is running out. Taman felt his stomach tighten. Is Lyra ready for that? Physically? Maybe. Mentally? Yuna shrugged. I don't know. Prisoners of war are always traumatized. And she knows we're the enemy. She'll be terrified. That night, Taman stayed later than usual. Lyra was sitting up in bed holding her pendant. She did that often, he'd noticed. Whenever she seemed sad or scared, her hand would go to that small piece of jewelry. What is that? Taman asked, pointing to the pendant. Lyra looked at it, then at him. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she held it out so he could see it better. It was a small metal disc with engravings on it, symbols he couldn't read. But there were also pictures, tiny detailed images of what looked like faces, 2 larger ones, 3 smaller ones. Family? Taman asked. Lyra's expression changed. Something sad crossed her face. She touched the pendant gently and said a word in her language. Then she pointed at the images one by one, saying names he couldn't quite catch. Taman understood. Parents and siblings, maybe. Or children. People she missed. People she might never see again. He pulled out his own datapad and showed her a picture. His sister, Yunji. She was smiling in the photo, standing in front of their old home back on Earth. It felt like a lifetime ago. Yunji, Taman said. My sister. Lyra looked at the picture for a long time. Then she pointed at Taman and made a gesture that seemed to mean love or care. You care about her? Yes, Taman said. Very much. Lyra nodded. She understood. They might be from different worlds, different species, enemies in a war. But they both knew what it meant to miss home. She said something in her language. It sounded like a question. I don't understand, Taman admitted. Lyra tried again, speaking slowly. She pointed at herself, then at Taman, then at the door. Then she made a gesture like someone breaking something apart. It took Taman a moment to understand. She was asking why. Why did he save her? Why did he keep coming back? They were supposed to be enemies. Because you needed help, Taman said. He didn't know if she'd understand his words, but he tried anyway. Because leaving you to die would have been wrong. Because. He struggled to find the right words. Because we're people. Both of us. And that matters more than the war. Lyra watched him as he spoke. When he finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she reached out with her good hand. Slowly, carefully, giving him time to pull away if he wanted. Taman didn't pull away. Her hand touched his. Her skin was cooler than human skin, and her fingers were longer, but the gesture was the same. A thank you. A connection. They sat like that for a while, not speaking, not needing to. The next day, Commander Jiwan arrived for the interrogation. She brought 2 guards and a translator device. Taman was ordered to stay in the room. Lyra's fear returned the moment Jiwan entered. She pressed herself back against the bed, her eyes wide. Tell her we mean her no harm, Jiwan said to the translator. We only want information. The device spoke in Vrin language, mechanical and cold. Lyra's eyes went to Taman, looking for. What? Reassurance? Protection? Taman nodded to her. It's okay, but it wasn't okay. Jiwan's questions started simple, name, rank, unit, but they quickly became more pointed. Where were Vrin forces stationed? What were their numbers? What were they planning? Lyra refused to answer. She just stared at Jiwan with silent defiance. She's protecting her people, Jiwan said. Admirable but pointless. Tell her that her people left her to die. Why should she protect them? When the translator spoke, Lyra flinched. But still she said nothing. The interrogation went on for an hour. Jiwan grew frustrated. This is a waste of time. Maybe we need to try stronger methods. No, Taman said before he could stop himself. Jiwan turned to him slowly. Excuse me? She's recovering from major injuries. Torture would kill her, and it wouldn't work anyway. She's not going to talk if she's afraid. Then what do you suggest, Corporal? Taman looked at Lyra. She was shaking now, clearly terrified. Let me try. Jiwan laughed. You? You don't even speak her language. I don't need to. Just give me time. Time is something we don't have. The Vryn are planning something big. Intelligence reports suggest a major offensive in this sector. If she knows anything about it, we need that information now. Then you definitely need her to trust us, Taman said. Fear won't get you answers. Trust might. Jiwan studied him carefully. You have 3 days, Corporal. Make her talk, or I bring in specialists who will make her talk. Understood? Understood. After Jiwan left, Taman pulled his chair closer to Lyra's bed. She was still shaking. He wanted to tell her everything would be okay, but he couldn't promise that. I'm sorry, he said instead. I'm so sorry. Lyra looked at him. Tears ran down her face. He didn't know Vryn could cry. He reached out and took her hand again. This time she held on tight. Outside the medical bay, Taman could hear soldiers talking. Their voices carried through the walls. Traitor. Vryn lover. Someone should put them both down. Taman closed his eyes. 3 days. He had 3 days to do something impossible. 3 days to make an enemy into a friend. 2 days passed. Taman spent every hour he could with Lyra. He brought her food from the commissary, better than the prison rations she was supposed to get. He brought books with pictures. He brought his datapad and showed her images of Earth, trying to teach her more words. And slowly, carefully, he tried to ask her about the war. It wasn't easy. Their communication was still basic, but Lyra was smart. She understood what he was asking. She just didn't want to answer. On the afternoon of the second day, Taman tried a different approach. He showed her a map of the sector. He pointed to the coalition bases marked in blue. Then he pointed to the Vryn territories marked in red. Your people, he said, touching the red areas. My people, touching the blue. Lyra nodded. She knew this already. Many soldiers, Taman said. He didn't know the Vryn word for attack or offensive, so he made gestures. Moving forces, fighting. Coming here? He pointed at the coalition positions. Lyra's face changed. Fear and conflict warred in her eyes. She looked at the map, then at Taman, then at the door. She was thinking about something. Finally, she spoke. The words came slowly, in broken human standard that she'd been learning. Yes, coming, many. Many soldiers. Taman's heart sank. Intelligence had been right. When? Lyra held up her hands, made gestures that Taman interpreted as weeks. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Where? He asked. But before Lyra could answer, the lights went out. Emergency backup lighting kicked in a second later, bathing the room in red. Alarm klaxons wailed. Taman jumped to his feet, his hand going to the sidearm he always carried now. What's happening? He shouted at the guards outside. No answer. Through the small window in the door, Taman saw movement. Shadows in the hallway. Then he heard the guards shouting. Weapons fire, screaming, then silence. Taman's blood ran cold. He moved to the door and locked it from the inside. It wouldn't hold long, but it might buy time. Taman? Lyra's voice was small, frightened. She'd pulled herself out of bed, standing on shaky legs. What is? The door exploded inward. 4 soldiers burst through, weapons drawn. Taman recognized them immediately. Private Doyen led them. His face was twisted with rage. Get away from her, Doyen ordered, pointing his rifle at Lyra. Stand down. Taman moved between them and Lyra. That's an order, Private. You don't give orders anymore, traitor. Doyen's finger tightened on the trigger. You brought the enemy into our home. You've been feeding her, caring for her, protecting her. While our people die out there, she's a prisoner of war. She has rights. She's Vryn, Doyen shouted. Her people killed my brother. They killed thousands of our soldiers. And you want to talk about rights? The other soldiers with Doyen nodded. Taman recognized them too. Private Soman from his own squad. Corporal Junho from the guard detail. Another soldier he didn't know. All of them had the same look in their eyes. Grief, anger, hatred. I understand you're hurting, Taman said, keeping his voice calm. I understand you want revenge. But this isn't the way. Then what is? Doyen stepped closer. Should we just let her live? Let her go back to her people and tell them everything about our base? Should we keep wasting medicine on her while our own soldiers die without proper care? She's giving us intelligence. She was just about to tell me lies. Doyen cut him off. Whatever she's telling you is lies. The Vryn don't defect. They don't betray their own. She's playing you and you're too blind to see it. Behind Taman, Lyra said something in her language. Her voice shook. She knew what was happening even if she couldn't understand all the words. Last chance, Park, Doyen said. Step aside. No. Doyen swung his rifle, catching Taman across the face. Pain exploded through his jaw. He stumbled but didn't fall. Didn't move. I said step aside. And I said no. Taman tasted blood. You want to kill her? You'll have to go through me. Fine. Doyen raised his rifle, pointing it at Taman's chest now instead of Lyra. His finger moved to the trigger, but before he could fire, something hit him from behind. Lyra had moved despite her injuries. She'd grabbed a metal tray from the medical cart and swung it at Doyen's head. The hit wasn't hard. She was too weak for that, but it was enough to surprise him. Doyen spun, his rifle tracking toward Lyra. Taman didn't think. He just moved. He grabbed Doyen's arm, forcing the rifle up. The shot went wild, hitting the ceiling. Then they were fighting, grappling for control of the weapon. Stop them, Doyen screamed at his companions. Soman and Junho rushed forward. But they hesitated. Shooting Lyra was one thing. Shooting a fellow coalition soldier was another. That hesitation gave Taman the opening he needed. He twisted the rifle from Doyen's hands and backed toward Lyra. The weapon now pointed at the four intruders. Everyone stop. Lieutenant Hana's voice cut through the chaos. She appeared in the doorway with half a dozen military police. Drop your weapons, now. For a moment, nobody moved. Then slowly, Doyen and his group lowered their weapons. The MPs moved in, securing them quickly. Hana looked at the scene. The broken door, the scattered medical equipment. Taman standing with a rifle, Lyra behind him. Flood on Taman's face, Corporal Park, lower your weapon, Hana said quietly. Taman did. His hands were shaking. Hana turned to Doyen. You're under arrest. All of you. Attempted murder of a prisoner of war. Assaulting a superior officer. Breaking into a secured facility. Take them away. As the MPs led Doyen and his group out, Doyen looked back at Taman. You're going to regret this. When she betrays us. When more of our people die because of your mercy, you're going to wish you'd let me kill her. Then he was gone. Hana waited until the hallway was clear before speaking. Are you hurt? I'm fine, Taman said, though his jaw throbbed. And the prisoner? Taman turned to check on Lyra. She'd collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. The effort of hitting Doyen had taken everything she had. But she was looking at Taman with an expression he'd never seen before. She'd tried to save him. An enemy soldier. The person holding her prisoner. She'd risked her life for his. She's okay, Taman said softly. Hana nodded. This is getting out of control, Park. People are angry. They're scared. And you're making yourself a target by protecting her. What was I supposed to do? Let them kill her? Some would say yes, Hana sighed. I'm doubling the guard on this room. And you're not to be left alone with her anymore, for your own safety as much as hers. Lieutenant, that's an order, Corporal. But Hana's voice wasn't harsh. Just tired. I'm trying to protect you. Both of you. But I can't do that if you keep putting yourself in danger. After Hana left to coordinate the new security arrangements, Taman helped Lyra back to her bed. She was exhausted, her injuries aggravated by the fight. You shouldn't have done that, Taman said as he checked her bandages. You could have been killed. Lyra looked at him. Then slowly she reached out and touched the bruise forming on his jaw. Her touch was gentle. Careful. You. Protect me, she said in halting standard. The words were rough, heavily accented, but understandable. I protect you. It was the most she'd ever said in his language, and the meaning was clear. They were even now, life for life. Taman took her hand. We need to trust each other. Really trust each other, because this is only going to get worse. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, still in standard, still struggling with the words. I tell truth. To you. About, she gestured at the map still lying on the floor. About attack, why now? You saved me. 2 times now. She squeezed his hand. My people. They leave me. Leave me to die. You stay. You. Different. I'm just trying to do the right thing. Right thing, Lyra repeated, like she was testing the words. Yes, you do right thing. So I do right thing. I tell truth. Over the next hour, with the new guards outside and Dr. Yuna present to monitor Lyra's condition, Lyra told them everything she knew. About the Vryn offensive being planned. About troop movements and supply lines. About which bases would be hit first and how many soldiers were being committed. It was information that could save thousands of lives. When she was finished, Lyra looked exhausted, drained. My people, she said quietly. They kill me now. If they know. I am, she searched for the word. Traitor. No, Taman said firmly. You're not a traitor. You're brave, and you're doing the right thing. Right thing, Lyra said again. She smiled just a little. It was the first time Taman had seen her smile. It changed her whole face. Made her look less like an enemy and more like a person. Just someone trying to survive in a war she never asked for, like everyone else. That night, as Taman tried to sleep in his quarters, he thought about what Doyen had said. About regret. About betrayal. Maybe Doyen was right. Maybe Taman would regret this. But somehow, looking at Lyra's small smile, remembering how she'd tried to protect him, Taman didn't think so. Some things were worth the risk. Commander Jiwon arrived early the next morning with a team of intelligence analysts. They'd spent all night verifying what Lyra had told them. Now they wanted more. Taman stood beside Lyra's bed as she answered their questions. Her standard was getting better, though she still struggled with complex ideas. When words failed, Taman would draw pictures or use gestures to help translate. These coordinates, Jiwon said, pointing to a star map. You're certain the Vryn fleet is staging here? Lyra nodded. Yes, three. She held up her fingers, trying to show a larger number. 300 ships? Jiwon guessed. More. Many more. Lyra pointed at the map again. Here and here and here. All come together. Then attack. The analysts exchanged worried looks. That was a massive force. Bigger than anyone had expected. When? Jiwon asked. Exactly when? Lyra closed her eyes, thinking. 2 weeks. Maybe less. They wait for... She made a gesture like something opening. Supply ships. When supplies come, they attack. And the primary targets? Lyra pointed at 3 coalition bases on the map, including the one they were in right now. The room went quiet. If this is accurate, one of the analysts said slowly, we're looking at a complete assault on this sector. They're not trying to win territory. They're trying to eliminate us entirely. Jiwon studied Lyra carefully. Why are you telling us this? You're Vryn. These are your people. Your military. Lyra met her eyes. Was my people, not now. They leave me to die. Taman save me. Coalition give me. She struggled for the word, then looked at Taman for help. Choice, Taman supplied. They gave you a choice. Yes, choice. Lyra touched her pendant. Vryn no give choice. You born, you serve, you die. No choice here? Different? She's lying, said one of the analysts, a major named Hyun. The Vryn don't think like that. They're loyal to their empire, absolutely. This is obviously a trap. Then explain how she knew about the staging areas, Jiwon said. We've had those locations under surveillance. There has been unusual activity there. Activity that matches what she's describing. She could have been fed that information, sent here deliberately to be captured and tell us exactly what they want us to hear. She was half dead when we found her, Taman said, buried under rubble. How is that part of a plan? Hyun turned to him. Maybe she volunteered. Maybe dying for the Empire was part of her mission. You didn't see her, Taman said quietly. She wasn't pretending to be afraid. She wasn't pretending to be hurt. She thought she was going to die and she was terrified. Or she's a very good actor. That's enough, Jiwon said. She looked at Lyra again. We're going to verify everything you've told us. If any of it turns out to be false, if this is a trap, you will be executed. Do you understand? Lyra nodded slowly. I understand. I tell truth. Only truth. Over the next 3 days, the coalition scrambled to verify Lyra's intelligence. They sent scout ships to the coordinates she'd provided. They intercepted Vryn communications. They analyzed supply routes and troop movements. Every piece of evidence supported what Lyra had said. Dr. Yuna ran Lyra through advanced interrogation protocols. Not torture, but psychological evaluation. Stress response analysis. Neurological scans adapted for Vryn physiology. Everything designed to detect deception. Lyra passed every test. She's telling the truth, Yuna told the command staff. As far as I can determine with the tools we have, she genuinely believes everything she's told us. And she's genuinely frightened of what her own people will do if they find out she talked. Belief doesn't mean accuracy, Major Hyun argued. She could be passing along false information that she thinks is real. Possible, Ji-won admitted, but unlikely. Her information is too specific, too detailed, and it all checks out. The base commander, General Dabin, made the final decision. We treat this intelligence as legitimate. Begin defensive preparations. Reinforce the targeted bases. Recall all patrol units. And someone get me the fleet admiral. If the Vryn are really committing this many ships, we're going to need serious firepower. The base transformed overnight. Soldiers rushed to fortify positions. Supply convoys arrived constantly. Fighter wings deployed to patrol the perimeter. Everyone knew something big was coming, and they knew Lyra was the reason they had time to prepare. Opinions about her began to shift. Not everyone, not even most people, but some soldiers started to see her differently. She wasn't just the enemy anymore. She was the person who might save their lives. Taemin noticed the change during his daily visits to the medical bay. The guards were still there, still watchful, but they didn't look at Lyra with quite as much hatred anymore. Your friend made the news, one guard told him. Command announced we have a Vryn defector providing intelligence. Didn't give her name, but everyone knows who they're talking about. She's not my friend, Taemin said automatically. Then he paused. Actually, maybe she is. Lyra was sitting up in bed when he entered, looking stronger every day. Her burns had healed significantly. The broken arm was still in a cast, but she could move around now without help. Taemin, she said, smiling slightly. She'd started smiling more often. It looked good on her. How are you feeling? Good, strong. She flexed her good arms. Dr. Yuna say I heal fast. Say maybe I can leave this room soon. That's great. But Taemin felt a nod of worry. Where will you go? Lyra's smile faded. I not know. I am prisoner. Still prisoner. Even if I help, I am still enemy. You're not the enemy, Taemin said firmly. You're on our side now. Am I? Lyra looked at her hands. I betray my people, my family, everything I know. For what, so I can be prisoner in different place? For freedom, Taemin said. For the right to choose. Isn't that what you said? The Vryn don't give choices. We do. But what is choice when I have nowhere to go? Cannot go back to Vryn, cannot go home, cannot see family. Her voice cracked. I am, what is word, alone? You're not alone. Taemin moved closer. You have me. Lyra looked up at him. Why you care? I am nothing. I am enemy. You're a person, Taemin said. That's enough. She studied his face for a long moment. Then slowly she reached out and took his hand. You are strange, Taemin. Very strange human. I'll take that as a compliment. Is compliment. Most humans hate me, want me dead. But you, she squeezed his hand. You see me? Not enemy, not prisoner. Just me, Lyra. They sat like that for a while, not speaking. The moment felt important somehow, like they were standing at a crossroads. Then Lyra said, the attack. It comes soon. Maybe 5 days, maybe less. The intelligence reports say the same thing. When it come, you be safe. Promise me. I'm a soldier. I'll be wherever I'm needed. That is what I fear. Lyra's grip tightened. You save me. Now I want save you. But I cannot. I am prisoner here. I cannot fight. Cannot protect. You've already saved me, Taemin said. The intelligence you provided will save hundreds of people. Maybe thousands. That includes me. Is not enough. You risk everything for me. Your career, your safety, your, how you say, reputation? That stuff doesn't matter. It mattered to me. Lyra pulled her hand back. I need do more. Need help more. There must be something. Taemin thought about it. There might be, but it would be dangerous. Very dangerous. Tell me. Command is planning a reconnaissance mission. They want to verify your intelligence directly. See the Vryn fleet with their own eyes. Calculate exact numbers and positions. Taemin paused. You could go with them. As a guide. You know the Vryn protocols. You could help them avoid patrols. Yes, Lyra said immediately. I do this. Lyra, if you're captured by your own people, they'll kill you. Probably torture you first to find out what you told us. I know. I still do it. Why? She looked at him like the answer should be obvious. Because you ask. Because is right thing. And because, she struggled with the words, because I am tired of being prisoner. I want be soldier again. Want choose to fight. Taman knew he should talk her out of it. The mission would be incredibly dangerous. If something went wrong, Lyra would be the first person blamed. And if the Vryn captured her, her death would be slow and painful. But he also understood what she was saying. She needed this. Needed to prove herself. Needed to stop being a victim and become an active participant in her own fate. I'll talk to Commander Jiwan, Taman said. See if she'll approve it. And you come too. On mission, Lyra, if I go, you go. We go together. Her voice was firm, final. You save me. I save you. We are... She searched for the word. Partners, Taman supplied. Yes. Partners. We do this together. Taman looked at her determined face and felt something shift inside him. She wasn't just a patient anymore. Wasn't just someone he'd saved. She was something more, a friend. A partner. Someone he trusted with his life. Together, he agreed. Lyra smiled. That real, genuine smile that changed her whole face. Together, she repeated. Outside the medical bay, the base continued its frantic preparations. Ships came and went. Soldiers trained and planned. Everyone getting ready for the storm that was coming. But inside this small room, two people from different worlds had made a decision. They would face that storm together. Whatever came next. Commander Jiwan approved the mission, but she wasn't happy about it. This is against my better judgment, she told Taman in the briefing room. But General Dabin thinks having your Vryn on the ground will increase our chances of success. I think it increases our chances of walking into a trap. She won't betray us, Taman said. You better be right, Corporal, because if this goes wrong, a lot of good people will die. Jiwan pulled up a holographic map. The mission is simple. Get in, observe the Vryn fleet, confirm numbers and positions, get out. No engagement unless absolutely necessary, clear? Clear, ma'am. The team assembled in the armory the next morning. 6 people total. Lieutenant Hana would lead. Sergeant Minho was coming too, along with 2 specialists. Private Bora, an expert in reconnaissance equipment, and Corporal Kehoe, a communications officer. Then Taman and Lyra Minho looked at Lyra with undisguised suspicion. She wore coalition combat gear now, modified to fit her different physiology. She looked strange in the uniform. Out of place. First mission with a Vryn on our side, Minho said. Never thought I'd see the day. First time for everything, Hana replied. She turned to Lyra. Can you understand me? Yes, Lyra answered in standard. Her accent was still heavy, but she was getting better. I understand. We go to see my people's ships. I help you not be seen. If you try anything, Minho said. Anything at all? She won't, Taman interrupted. Let her speak for herself. Lyra looked at Minho directly. I betray my people already. Cannot go back. If I betray you now, I have nothing. Nowhere to go. I help you because is only choice I have. And because, she glanced at Taman, because is right thing to do, Minho grunted. Not quite approval, but not outright hostility either. They loaded into a stealth transport just after dawn. The ship was designed to avoid detection, with advanced cloaking technology and minimal electronic signature. It would get them close to Vryn territory, but not all the way. The last part they'd have to do on foot. The flight took 3 hours. Nobody talked much. Everyone was focused on the mission ahead. Taman noticed Lyra kept touching her pendant. Her nervous habit. You okay? He asked quietly. Scared, she admitted. If my people see me. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Stay close to me. I won't let anything happen to you. You cannot promise this. No, Taman agreed. But I'll try anyway, she smiled slightly. Strange human. They landed in a rocky valley 20 kilometers from the coordinates Lyra had provided. The area was harsh, all jagged stones and thin atmosphere. Perfect for hiding, but brutal to hike through. Move out, Hana ordered. Stay in formation. And remember, we're in enemy territory now. Every sound, every movement could give us away. The team moved carefully through the terrain. Lyra walked near the front with Hana, pointing out patrol routes and sensor locations. Her knowledge proved invaluable. Twice she stopped them, indicating Vryn surveillance drones passing overhead. Both times the team took cover just in time. She knows her stuff, Bora whispered to Taman. I'll give her that. After 4 hours of hiking, they reached a ridge overlooking the staging area. What they saw made everyone freeze. Ships, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They filled the valley below like a metal sea. Vryn warships of every size, from small fighters to massive cruisers, all of them armed, all of them preparing for war. Dear God, Hana breathed. Bora immediately started setting up scanning equipment, getting readings now. Ship classifications, weapon systems, troop capacity. Kehoe worked on communications, intercepting Vryn transmissions. The more data they gathered, the better the coalition could prepare their defenses. Taman watched the fleet with growing dread. Even with the warning, even with time to prepare, could they really stop this many ships? More than I thought, Lyra said quietly beside him. Much more. They bring everything. Can we win against this? I not know, maybe, if you fight smart. If you're ready, she looked at him. But many will die. Your people, my people, many will die. They spent an hour gathering intelligence. Everything was going smoothly. Too smoothly, Taman thought. His instincts were screaming that something was wrong. Then alarms started blaring across the valley. We've been spotted, Hana shouted. Move! Back to the transport! The team ran. Behind them, Vryn patrols mobilized. Taman could see soldiers emerging from the ships, see vehicles lifting into the air to pursue them. How? Mio demanded as they ran. How did they know? Does it matter? Hana shot back. Just run! They were halfway back to the transport when the ambush hit. Vryn soldiers appeared from behind rocks, cutting off their escape. Energy weapons lit up the area with deadly light. Contact front. Hana opened fire. The rest of the team followed her lead. The firefight was intense. The Vryn had numbers and position. The coalition team had desperation. We can't hold here, Bora called out. Too many of them. Lyra grabbed Taman's arm. I have idea. Crazy idea, what is it? Give me communicator. I talked to them. Lyra, no, trust me, please. Her eyes were urgent. Is only way. Against every instinct, Taman handed her Kehoe's spare communicator. Lyra switched it to the Vryn frequency and started speaking rapidly in her own language. The Vryn soldiers hesitated. Their weapons stayed raised, but they stopped firing. What is she saying? Mio demanded. I don't know, Taman said. His heart pounded. Had he just made a fatal mistake? A Vryn officer stepped forward. He was larger than the others, with more elaborate markings on his armor. He spoke to Lyra in their language. She responded, her voice steady, but Taman could see her hands shaking. The conversation went on for what felt like forever. The officer kept looking at the coalition team, then back at Lyra. Finally, he laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. He spoke into his own communicator. More Vryn soldiers appeared, surrounding the coalition team completely. They were trapped. She sold us out, Minho said bitterly. I knew it. But Lyra turned to them and her expression wasn't one of betrayal. It was terror. I tell them I work undercover. Tell them I capture you, that I bring you here as prisoners. What? Hana stared at her. The officer, Captain Relis, I know him. I serve under him before. I tell him I pretend to defect, that I learn coalition secrets. I tell him I want to execute you publicly, show loyalty to Empire. He believed you? Maybe, maybe not. But he give me chance. He say I can kill you, prove my loyalty. If I do, I am forgiven. If I not do, she swallowed hard. We all die, so we're dead either way, Minho said. No, Lyra's voice was firm. I get you close to ships, pretend to execute, then we run, together. That's insane, Hana said. Yes, but his only chance. The Vryn officer, Captain Relis, shouted something. Lyra responded. Then she turned to the team. He agree? We walk to fleet. There I execute you. He want to watch. And when you don't actually kill us, then we fight and run. Very fast. Lyra looked at Taman. You trust me? It was a simple question with enormous weight. Everything depended on his answer. Yes, Taman said. I trust you. Hana took a deep breath. Everyone stand down. Drop your weapons, Lieutenant. Minho protested. That's an order, Sergeant. We're in Lyra's hands now. The team lowered their weapons. The Vryn soldiers moved in, securing them with restraints. But they were loose restraints, Taman noticed. Easy to break if needed. Lyra was playing this perfectly. They marched toward the fleet. Captain Relis walked beside Lyra, speaking to her in their language. She responded calmly, but Taman saw the fear in her eyes. One wrong word and everything would fall apart. They reached an open area between the ships. Other Vryn soldiers gathered to watch. Public executions were apparently a popular spectacle. Captain Relas announced something to the crowd. Then he gestured to Lyra, offering her a weapon. This was it. The moment of truth. Lyra took the weapon. She walked behind the kneeling coalition team. She raised the weapon toward Hana's head. Now, she whispered in Standard. Then she spun and fired at Captain Relas. Everything exploded into chaos. The coalition team broke their restraints and scattered. Taman grabbed a weapon from a fallen Vryn soldier. Around them, the crowd erupted in confusion and anger. "Run!" Hana screamed. "Back to the transport!" They ran through the shipyard, Vryn soldiers pursuing. Energy bolts flew everywhere. Private Bora took a hit to her leg and went down. Kehoe grabbed her, half carrying her. Lyra ran alongside Taman, firing behind them to cover their escape. "This way." "Through here!" She led them through a gap between two ships. Behind them, the Vryn were organizing. It wouldn't be long before they were overwhelmed. There, Sergeant Minho pointed. Their transport was visible ahead, engines already warming up. The pilot had seen the situation and was preparing for emergency extraction. They were 50 meters away when a Vryn soldier appeared in front of Taman, weapon raised. Taman tried to dodge, but he knew he was too slow. Lyra crashed into him, pushing him aside. The energy bolt meant for Taman hit her instead. She screamed and went down. "Lyra!" Taman skidded to a stop, turning back. "Don't stop!" Hana shouted, but Taman was already lifting Lyra, ignoring her cry of pain. The wound was bad, scorched through her side. But she was alive. "Stupid human," she gasped. "Leave me." "Not a chance," Taman said, running for the transport with her in his arms. They made it aboard as energy bolts peppered the hull. The transport lifted off immediately, accelerating hard. Vryn fighters scrambled to pursue, but the coalition ship's cloaking activated, and they vanished from sensors. Inside the transport, Taman-laid Elta Medical Bay was busier than Taman had ever seen it. Lyra lay in the same bed she'd occupied weeks ago when she first arrived. The circle felt complete somehow, except this time she wasn't a prisoner. She was a hero. Dr. Yuna worked on her injuries with quick efficiency. The wound is serious but not fatal. She'll recover. "Your people are tough," she said to Lyra with a small smile. "All people are tough when they need to be," Lyra replied in Standard. Her language skills had improved dramatically over the past weeks. "Is about choosing to be strong." The intelligence from the mission had been delivered to Coalition Command immediately. Within hours, defensive preparations escalated across the entire sector. Ships were repositioned. Troops reinforced key locations. Supply lines secured. The Coalition wasn't just preparing to survive the Vryn offensive anymore. They were preparing to win it. Taman stayed by Lyra's side as much as his duties allowed. When he couldn't be there, others visited. Lieutenant Hana came to thank her personally. Even Sergeant Minho stopped by, offering a grudging nod of respect. "You did good out there," Minho told her. "I was wrong about you." "Many people wrong about many things in war," Lyra said. "Is okay, I understand. Still, I'm sorry." "For not trusting you," Lyra smiled. "You trust now. That is what matters." 4 days after the mission, the Vryn offensive began. The attack was massive, just as Lyra had warned. Hundreds of ships appeared at the edge of Coalition space, weapons hot and ready. But instead of catching the Coalition unprepared, the Vryn found fortified positions and waiting fleets. The battle raged for 3 days. Taman watched what he could from the base, though most of his time was spent treating the wounded who came back from the fighting. The casualty lists were long, but they would have been much longer without Lyra's warning. On the 3rd day, the Vryn offensive broke. Unable to achieve their objectives and facing heavier resistance than anticipated, they retreated. It wasn't a complete victory for the Coalition, but it wasn't a defeat either. They'd held their ground. Commander Jiwan visited Lyra during her recovery on the 4th day after the battle ended. Taman was there helping Lyra with physical therapy exercises. "The general wants to see you," Jiwan told Lyra, "when you're well enough to walk." "Am I in trouble?" Lyra asked carefully. "No, quite the opposite." Jiwan's expression was hard to read. "You saved a lot of lives, Lyra. The Coalition wants to thank you properly, and we need to discuss your future." 2 weeks later, Lyra stood in General Dabin's office. The wound in her side had healed enough that she could move without pain. Taman stood beside her, having been called as well. The general was an older human with gray hair and tired eyes, but he smiled when he saw them. "Please sit," he said, gesturing to chairs. "I've been looking forward to this conversation." They sat. Lyra's posture was stiff, nervous. She still wasn't comfortable around high-ranking officers. "The intelligence you provided was invaluable," General Dabin began. "Intelligence estimates suggest you saved between 5 and 10,000 lives. Maybe more. The Vryn expected to catch us off guard. Instead, we were ready." "I am glad," Lyra said quietly. "Many lives saved is good." "Both sides? Both sides?" The general raised an eyebrow. "Yes, if coalition not ready, Vryn attack harder. Fight longer. More Vryn die too. War is bad for everyone." General Dabin studied her for a moment, then nodded. "You're right. War is bad for everyone." He pulled out a datapad. "Which brings us to your situation. Officially, you're still classified as a prisoner of war. But that status doesn't fit anymore, does it?" "I do not know what I am," Lyra admitted. "Not prisoner. Not soldier. Not Vryn anymore. But not coalition either. That's what we need to discuss." The general leaned forward. "I'm authorized to offer you asylum within coalition space. Full legal protection. You'd be free to go anywhere in coalition territory." Lyra blinked her large eyes. "Free? Really free?" "Really free. No more guards. No more locked rooms. You'd have the same rights as any coalition citizen." He paused. "There are conditions, of course. You'd need to register with our security services. And we'd ask that you work with us as a cultural advisor and intelligence consultant. Help us understand the Vryn better. Maybe even help with future defectors if any come." "Others might come?" Lyra looked hopeful. "Other Vryn might leave the Empire?" "Possibly. You've proven it's possible to find a new life here. Others might want the same thing." Lyra was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "What if I want to do more?" "More? I can fight. I am trained soldier. Good soldier." She looked at Taman, then back at the general. "I want to help end this war. Not just with intelligence. I want to fight. For coalition. For peace." General Dabin exchanged a glance with Taman. "That would be unprecedented. We've never had a Vryn serve in coalition military forces." "Maybe it's time to start," Lyra said. "You say war is bad for everyone. I agree. I want to help stop it. I know how Vryn think. How they fight. I can help save more lives. It won't be easy," the general warned. "Many soldiers still don't trust you. Some never will. You'd face discrimination, hostility, maybe even danger from your own side. I face danger already. I face it when Taman saved me. I face it when I tell you about offensive. I face it when I go on mission." Lyra's voice was steady. "I am not afraid of danger." "I am afraid of doing nothing," the general smiled. "Then I think we can work something out. It'll take time. You'll need to go through training, both to understand coalition tactics and to help our people understand you. But if you're willing, we're willing." "I am willing," Lyra said immediately. "Good." General Dabin stood, extending his hand. "Welcome to the coalition, Lyra. Officially this time." Lyra looked at the hand, then carefully shook it. The gesture was still strange to her, but she was learning human customs. "Thank you, General. I will not disappoint." After they left the general's office, Taman and Lyra walked through the base together. It was evening, and the base was quieter now. Soldiers moved between buildings, but there was less urgency than before. The immediate crisis had passed. "You didn't have to volunteer to fight," Taman said. "You could have taken the asylum and lived peacefully somewhere." "Could you?" Lyra asked. "If your people were at war, could you sit peacefully while others fight?" "No," Taman admitted. "I couldn't." "Then you understand." She touched her pendant, the symbol of the family she'd left behind. "I cannot go back to them. Cannot see my family. But I can honor them. I can work to end this war so other families do not suffer, so other people do not lose homes." They reached the observation deck, a platform that looked out over the landing pads and beyond them the stars. Lyra had never been here before. Her eyes widened as she took in the view. "Beautiful," she said softly. "Yeah," Taman agreed. "It is." They stood in silence for a while, watching ships come and go. Fighters returning from patrol, supply transports bringing food and equipment, the everyday rhythm of a military base. I received message today, Taemin said. From my sister, Yunji. The one in picture? Yes, she heard about what happened. About you. About the mission. He pulled out his data pad and showed Lyra the message. She says she's proud of me. Says I did the right thing by saving you. Lyra read the message slowly, still learning to read human standard. When she finished, she smiled. Your sister is wise. You did do right thing. So did you. We both did right thing. Together. She looked at him. What will you do? After war? When fighting stops? Taemin thought about it. Before all this, he'd had plans. Go to medical school. Become a doctor. Have a normal life. But now those plans seem distant, almost irrelevant. I don't know, he said honestly. I used to have it all figured out. But now, everything's different. Different how? I'm different. The war changed me. You changed me. He met her eyes. I thought I knew what was important. Following orders, protecting my own, staying safe. But you taught me something else, and what I teach you? That compassion matters more than safety. That people matter more than sides. That doing the right thing is worth the risk. He smiled. You taught me to be more human, I guess. Which is funny, coming from an alien. Lyra laughed. It was a pleasant sound, musical and warm. Maybe being human is not about species. Maybe it's about choice. About how you treat others. Maybe, Taemin agreed. So, what you do after war? I think I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Helping people. Saving lives when I can. Making a difference, he paused. And I hope you'll be there. Doing the same thing. I will be, Lyra said. Where you go, I go. We are partners. You say this, remember? I remember. They stood together, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Vryn Empire continued to fight. The war wasn't over. It might not be over for years. But standing here, Taemin felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Can I ask you something? Lyra said quietly. Of course, that day. When you find me in rubble. When you save me even though I am enemy. Why you really do it. Not because it's right thing. Everyone say is right thing, but many people do not do right thing. Why you different? Taemin thought about her question carefully. He'd asked himself the same thing many times, I think, he said slowly. It's because I saw you.